I actually pushed myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Welcome to Rishikesh, the yoga capital of the world.
This is the center where spirituality and yoga wisdom meet.
On this week's special series, Yoga, celebrating India's gift to mankind, we experience Parmarth Niketan, the city's largest ashram, and a modern Ashtanga school before exploring lavish wellness retreats.
Don't miss this week's episode of All Things Yoga and Ayurveda. Only on WION, World is One.
Asia, good evening America. You're watching World DNA with me, Raisha Sehgal.
And my name is Hem Kaursara, and on the show today, Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz has resigned from Netanyahu's government. This after he postponed his resignation plans after the rescue of 4 Israeli hostages. Gantz has been critical of Netanyahu's handling of the war and the ill-defined post-war plan in Gaza. The question is, what kind of an impact will this have on Israel's strategy in this ongoing war? And where does this leave the Netanyahu government? We'll explore this on the show today.
Also on World DNA today, far-right parties have made major gains in European parliamentary elections, further prompting French President Emmanuel Macron to dissolve parliament and call for snap elections. Well, Macron said that the European Union results were grim for his government and ones that could not be ignored. And of course, we're tracking that on the show today, but first a quick check on the headlines.
Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz quits Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government, heaps domestic pressure on the Israeli leader as the war in Gaza rages on.
Far-right makes big gains in European vote. First predictions of the European Parliament show the centre-right European People's Party strengthen its majority. Far-right parties gain in Italy, Austria and Germany as Liberal and Green parties see losses.
French President Emmanuel Macron dissolves French Parliament, calls snap elections on the 30th of June after the far-right crowns his centrist alliance in the EU polls.
Prime Minister Modi takes oath to begin a historic third term. First meet of the newly inducted cabinet today after 72 ministers take oath. Modi is the second Prime Minister after Jawaharlal Nehru to be elected for a third term in a row.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes stock of the situation in Jammu and Kashmir after a terror attack on pilgrims in the Raisi district killed 9 people and injured 33 others.
South Korea resumes a loudspeaker propaganda campaign against the North as Pyongyang sends a fresh barrage of trash-filled balloons across the border and vows new counteraction.
South Korea's main doctors' lobby group says it would go on strike on the 18th of June to protest the government's healthcare reform plan, defying a warning by the Prime Minister.
The main hospital in Sudan's Al-Fashir city has been attacked by the paramilitary Rapid Support Force and put out of service, says Doctors Without Borders, which supports the facility.
India come back from the brink to defeat Pakistan in New York and extend their dominance over their arch rivals in the ICC events. The defeat puts the 2009 champions in real danger of elimination at the T20 World Cup.
And our top focus in world DNA, dealing a major blow to Netanyahu, Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz has quit.
Now, Gantz's resignation, it's the latest sign of rising domestic dissent over Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's handling of the war in Gaza and is the first major political blow to him during this conflict.
Well, his departure means that Netanyahu will lose the backing of a centrist bloc that has helped broaden support for the government in Israel and abroad. Netanyahu issued a plea and urged Gantz to set aside his plans. He asked Gantz not to abandon the front.
However, Benny Gantz's departure will not endanger the parliamentary majority of 64 seats in the 120 Knesset held by the ruling right-wing coalition. The War Cabinet Minister's resignation was expected ever since he gave Netanyahu a June 8th deadline to come up with a clear day-after strategy for Gaza.
Regrettably, Netanyahu is preventing us from advancing towards true victory, which is the justification for the ongoing and painful cost of this war. That is why we are leaving the emergency government today with a heavy heart but with full confidence.
The Israeli minister's resignation came after IDF fought gun battles with Hamas militants in central Gaza's crowded Nusayrat refugee camp area as they freed the 4 Israeli captives. IDF claimed that the extraction team and captives came under heavy gun and grenade fire, which killed 1 police officer, while Israel's Air Force launched strikes that reduced nearby buildings to rubble. The health ministry in the Hamas-run territory said that 274 people were killed. Palestinian civilians were killed and 698 wounded in what they claimed as Nusayrat massacre.
Are you talking about 210 martyrs to claim that you freed hostages? Netanyahu, do you believe yourself that you freed prisoners? Do you destroy a whole house and kill 210 martyrs to free hostages?
Meanwhile, the Russian family of a rescued Gaza hostage was reunited with their son after 8 months of Hamas captivity. 27-year-old Andrei Kozlov was taken hostage from the Nova Music Festival on the 7th of October, where he was working as a security guard. Kozlov was one of 4 hostages rescued from central Gaza in what Israel said was a special operation held under intense fire from Hamas militants.
We are very happy to see that he is healthy. He looks healthy, looks happy. He is infinitely happy that he is back home. We are infinitely happy to see him. He laughs, he jokes, he enjoys communicating with all of us, with his family, with doctors, with the people who surround him. He is open to communication. He told us that every day in captivity he thought about his family and those people who were close to him. These thoughts helped him survive, and these thoughts helped him stay alive, healthy and sane in his own mind.
According to Israeli authorities, 116 hostages remain in Gaza, more than 40 of whom have been declared dead. Amid the raging battle in Gaza, US has once again urged Israel to operate differently to avoid the loss of innocent lives as it carries out missions like the one that rescued 4 Israeli hostages but resulted in the deaths of numerous Palestinians.
We are concerned about every loss of life, including in this operation. Anytime civilians are killed, we're concerned. Of course we are. That's why we want this war to end. The only way to get all of the hostages out and to end any more civilian casualties in Gaza is to get to a comprehensive ceasefire and hostage agreement. So the two are not distinct issues. They're connected issues. How do we end the death of civilians in Gaza, Martha? There is only one way. It is to get to a comprehensive ceasefire and hostage deal. That's what President Biden laid out. And that is, again, what he is reinforcing today, because Hamas accepting that deal would bring an end to the tragedy in Gaza.
All right, to discuss this further, Colonel David Biederosh, professor at Near East South Asia Center for Strategic Studies, National Defense University, is joining us on the show today. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Sir, of course, as you know, the Israeli war cabinet member Benny Gantz has resigned. Now, this leaves Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu more reliant on the far-right allies of his government. Of course, the center bloc, it had helped broaden the support for his government as well. Where does this leave the Netanyahu government now?
Well, they're in a somewhat perilous position. I think that what led to this was you had a government of national unity to prosecute the war after the massacres and hostage-taking on October 7th. But as the war has raged on, Israel's strategic position in the world has deteriorated. The conduct of the war has led to a loss of international support for Israel. And you've also seen arguments within Israel over what will be, the end state for Gaza and indeed for the West Bank as well once this war is over. Netanyahu's refused to discuss that. I don't think he really can, because he doesn't want to alienate the right-wing parties, as you note, in his coalition. But he was only able to kick it down so far. And with the end of the military operations being close to in sight, they could be over within 2 months. I think Benny Gantz said, look, why should I support this government when they won't offer a policy prescription for what happens the day after? It's also worth noting that Gantz's own political popularity was declining because of his support for Netanyahu. So there's that impetus as well.
Right. Colonel Roches, in the past few months during Israel's war in Gaza, Benny Gantz has been an integral person who has been talking with the Biden administration. Talk to us about how Gantz's resignation is being viewed in Washington, D.C., and how will it perhaps impact Biden's peace proposal in the ongoing war?
Well, good question. So I think the Biden administration views Netanyahu as unable or unwilling to moderate Israel's military operations in Gaza. I think the Biden administration feels that they have a way to get back the hostages and to keep Israel secure. I think that Netanyahu and the members of his ruling coalition feel that they can't really secure Israel unless they have militarily destroyed the entire Hamas military organization. And I think that for a while, I think that Gantz may actually agree with that. But there is a practical question, which is, okay, once you've done all this, what do you do with Gaza? How do you govern it? And Netanyahu's been unable to address that, or unwilling to address that. Netanyahu ran against Gantz. Gantz, I think, supported the fight against Hamas, but the time is now to come up with is this going to be something that Israel has to do every 5 years? Or can there actually be a real solution? The fact that Netanyahu is unwilling to discuss that, I think, put Gantz in a bad position. But the Biden administration certainly would prefer to deal with Gantz and Netanyahu.
Absolutely, sir. In fact, I was just going to come to this next. Of course, the main bone of contention was that there was no day after plan for Gaza. And you also mentioned that this has put Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu in a perilous position. That being said, do you reckon we will see any sort of a change in strategy when it comes to the war in Gaza?
Well, there's not really a strategy. There's a lot of tactics, and the tactics are, military. Strategy has to integrate political outcome with tactics and with economics and information. Israel is losing the information war internationally, and they're losing their strategic position is deteriorating, as I noted. I think that Netanyahu and his coalition seem to think that if they solve the military problem of Hamas, they can then somehow address later on the political solution. But Gantz's position is in keeping with standard counterinsurgency doctrine, which is you have to have a political move in parallel with the military move if you are to resolve an insurgency. And Hamas is a very well-armed insurgency. So I think Gantz has both political, strategic, and tactical reasons for breaking with Netanyahu at this point.
Right. Thank you, Colonel Roches, for taking our time and joining us here on World DNA with your insights.
Thank you.
All right. As results of elections to the EU Parliament roll in, the jitters and tremors become all too visible, with big gains for the far right.
Absolutely, Haim. Now, first predictions show that the centre-right European People's Party has strengthened its majority. At the top of the list, French President Emmanuel Macron has dissolved his country's parliament and called snap elections. Exit polls show his opponent Marine Le Pen's National Rally Party is set to trounce Macron's Renew Party in the exit poll. Two phases of the French parliamentary elections will be held on the 30th of June and the 7th of July.
C'est pourquoi.
It is a situation to which I cannot resign myself. The rise of nationalists and demagogues is a danger not only for our nation, but also for Europe and for France's place within it, along with the world.
And of course, there are other visibly big shifts as well. In Germany, Chancellor Olaf Scholz's Social Democrats were overtaken by the far-right AfD, winning a record 16.5% of the vote as per the exit poll. The numbers underscore the opposition party's resilience ahead of the federal elections next year. The AfD has tapped into frustrations with Scholz's government. The Ukraine war and state services burdened by rising migration and a cost of living crisis have hit hard.
Well, in Italy, Giorgia Meloni and her far-right Brothers of Italy party won the vote. Austria's far-right Freedom Party looks on course for a narrow but historic victory.
In Hungary, Prime Minister Viktor Orbán's Nationalist Party was on top, though it underperformed over its past dominance. Partial results showed Orbán's party winning 43.8% of the vote.
We'll take a look at the latest predictions put out for the EU Parliament. The centre-right European People's Party, EPP, has won 189 seats, confirming its role as the largest bloc in the European Parliament. The Socialist and Democrats bloc was always predicted to come in second. They won 135 seats. As it stands, the current coalition between the EPP, S&D and Renew would reach a majority. It is unclear what groupings the 95 independent MEPs will decide to support.
EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen needs a qualified majority of 27 European Union leaders and also a majority in the 720-seat European Parliament to secure another 5-year term. She expressed confidence that she could win a new mandate.
The centre is holding. But it is also true that the extremes on the left and on the right have gained support. And this is why the result comes with great responsibility for the parties in the centre. We may differ on individual points, but we all have an interest in stability, and we all want a strong and effective Europe. So throughout my campaign, I've been working hard to build a broad and effective majority of pro-European forces.
Well, to a large degree, the EU election results are a litmus test, an indication of how the bloc will handle major issues like the war in Ukraine, the migration issue, and EU's ambitious climate goals. Concerns around European industry and also competing with China, all these things have also been in focus. Well, Ukrainian military claims that for the first time ever, it hit an Su-57 fighter jet.
Now, the fighter jet was apparently parked at an airfield in southern Russia. The flagship Su-57 entered into service with Russia's airspace forces in December 2020. It was designed to replace aging Soviet-designed fighter aircraft such as the Su-27 and MiG-29.
Ukraine's defense intelligence claimed that the Su-57 was targeted at the Okhotybinsk airfield. As per the agency's claim, the airfield lies 589 kilometers away from the active front lines between Ukrainian and Russian forces.
The attack comes days after the United States and its allies allowed Ukraine to attack the Russian territory using their weapons. Putin has threatened to retaliate against Western countries that are allowing Ukraine to hit Russia with their long-range missiles.
And this as US President Joe Biden wrapped up a 5-day trip to France, overseeing the commemoration of the 80th anniversary of D-Day landings in Normandy, along with a state visit to Paris.
The US President confirmed that him and his French counterpart had reached an agreement over the use of profits from frozen Russian assets to aid Ukraine in its war effort. The plan is to use these frozen profits to issue a large upfront loan to Kyiv and secure its financing for 2025.
Around 260 billion euros or closer to $80 billion of the Russian central bank funds are frozen worldwide, with most of it in the European Union. The funds generate 2.5 billion to 3.5 billion euros a year in profit, which the EU says is not owed to Russia.
The idea, spearheaded by the United States, is to use the steady revenue stream from the profits these assets continue to generate to service a $50 billion loan. Russia has slammed the idea, warning that any diversion of its profits would tantamount to theft.
And standing next to President Emmanuel Macron, Biden also sent a warning to the rest of Europe, stating that the entire continent remains under threat as Putin will not stop at Ukraine.
And the idea that we're able to avoid being engaged in major battles in Europe is just not realistic. That's why it's so important that we continue to have the alliances we have, continue to beef up those alliances, continue to keep NATO strong, continue to do what we've been able to do for the last, since the end of World War II.
On the battlefield, Ukrainian and Russian forces continue to target each other. Russia says that troops continue to move deep into Ukrainian defense lines, while Ukraine claims to have repelled Russian military attacks over the past 24 hours. Moscow claims that its forces shot down one Mi-8 military helicopter and 71 drones of Ukraine and also intercepted multiple missiles and rockets. The Russian Black Sea Fleet says that it sank 5 unmanned boats of the Ukrainian army.
We now turn our focus to the wealth jump in Nvidia's Jensen Huang.
Now, Huang steadily climbed the world's wealthiest ranks as the market value of his computer chip maker touched $3 trillion.
Nvidia's boss's wealth comes from a 3.5% stake in the company. He helped start Nvidia in 1993 With Chris and Curtis Prim on Wednesday, NVIDIA became the first computer chip company to reach $3 trillion in market value. Well, on Friday, the company was flirting with that mark again. The chipmaker surpassed Apple in market value.
Now, according to Bloomberg Billionaires Index, Huang passed personal computer pioneer Michael Dell on Friday to become the 13th richest person in the world with a net worth of $106.1 billion. This is another big milestone for Huang. His wealth has grown by more than $62 billion this year. This is driven by the endless demand for NVIDIA chips used to power AI jobs. The 61-year-old's rise is driven by AI, and Huang is taking over Silicon Valley.
Huang's wealth topped that of every member of the Waltons, who are America's richest family. This happened last month after another huge quarter for the chipmaker. NVIDIA today commands an ecosystem of hardware and software solutions that rivals from AMD to Intel are trying hard to break up or replicate. This is mainly due to its dominant share of the market for the high-end accelerators used to train AI, and it has shown no signs of slowing down or letting its rivals catch up. Huang said that the firm plans to upgrade its so-called AI accelerators every year.
And with that, it's time now for a short break.
But don't go anywhere. On the other side of World DNA, we'll get you a story of how there is no end to the trash balloon versus propaganda leaflets between North and South Korea. South Korea announces a restarting of disruptive broadcast near the DMZ border. We'll get you full report on the other side of this short break. Stay tuned.
Namaste. Hello, friends. We did Dr. Subhash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018. 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to restart again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION, which is the global network channel from India. Again, thank you for your love and affection. See you soon at Subhash Chandra Show.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players. Right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Welcome to Rishikesh, the yoga capital of the world.
This is the center where spirituality and yoga wisdom meet.
On this week's special series, Yoga, celebrating India's gift to mankind, we experience Parmarth Niketan, the city's largest ashram, and a modern Ashtanga school before exploring lavish wellness retreats.
Don't miss this week's episode of All Things Yoga and Ayurveda. Only on WION, World is One.
Welcome back. Thanks very much for staying with us. You're watching World DNA with me, Raisha and Haim. There's lots that are on the show, but first a quick check on the headlines.
Israeli War Cabinet member Benny Gantz quits Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government, heaps domestic pressure on the Israeli leader as the war in Gaza rages.
Far right makes big gains in European vote. First projections of the European Parliament show the centre-right European People's Party strengthen its majority. Far-right parties gain in Italy, Austria and Germany as Liberal and Green parties see losses.
French President Emmanuel Macron dissolves French Parliament, calls snap elections on the 30th of June after the far-right trounced his centrist alliance in EU polls.
Prime Minister Modi begins historic third term as Prime Minister. He is likely to chair first cabinet meeting of the newly formed government today. Also, portfolios of ministers to be announced today as well.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes stock of the situation in Jammu and Kashmir after a terror attack on pilgrims in the Riyasi district killed 9 people and injured 33 others.
South Korea resumes a loudspeaker propaganda campaign against the North as Pyongyang sends a fresh barrage of trash-filled balloons across the border and vows new counter-action.
South Korea's main doctors' lobby group says it would go on strike on the 18th of June to protest the government's healthcare reform plan, defying a warning by the Prime Minister.
The main hospital in Sudan's Al Fashir city has been attacked by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces and put out of service, says Doctors Without Borders, which supports the facility.
India come back from the brink to defeat Pakistan in New York and extend their dominance over their arch-rivals in the ICC events. The defeat puts the 2009 champions in real danger of elimination at the T20 World Cup.
Narendra Modi has taken oath as India's Prime Minister for a historic third consecutive term.
Narendra Modi took the reins in 2014 after the Bharatiya Janata Party won the clear majority in Lok Sabha elections 10 years ago. In 2019 general elections, the BJP once again swept the mandate, with Modi becoming Prime Minister for a second time. And now Prime Minister Modi has equalled the record of India's first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, becoming only the second person after the Congress statesman to become India's Prime Minister for 3 consecutive terms.
Some of the BJP heavyweights who made a comeback are Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh, Nirmala Sitharaman, Nitin Gadkari and Dr. S. Jaishankar. The ministries will be allocated to the leaders later today. It is widely believed that all these leaders will retain their portfolios from 2019.
To remind our viewers, during the BJP-led NDA government's second term in power, Amit Shah was the Home Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman was India's Finance Minister, Rajnath Singh the Defence Minister and Dr. S. Jaishankar the Foreign Minister.
30 of the 72 ministers sworn in on Sunday are cabinet ministers, 5 independent charge and 36 ministers of state. The portfolios will be announced later today, like I mentioned earlier. H.D. Kumaraswamy of the Janata Dal Secular was the first leader from any of the BJP's allies in the NDA to take oath.
Soon after, Janata Dal United leader Lalan Singh, a close aide of Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, also took oath.
Several top industrialists and movie stars like Shah Rukh Khan and Akshay Kumar were also there at the high-profile event in the Indian national capital, New Delhi. Over 8,000 guests and dignitaries witnessed the grand event at the Rashtrapati Bhavan.
The global leaders in attendance included top leaders and heads of states from Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal and Mauritius, as well as Maldives, the Bangladesh PM and Seychelles Vice President.
In recent years, the relationship has been marked by close contacts at all levels. Trade and investment have grown, and there is cooperation in the fields of
Rashtrapati ka.
The relationship between India and Sri Lanka.
Now, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will head a coalition government in his third term for the first time since he took office in 2014.
Right, the Modi 3.0 cabinet has a total of 72 ministers. However, there are several noticeable new faces in the Modi cabinet 3.0.
Former Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh Shivraj Singh Chauhan took oath as the Union Minister in the Modi government's third term. He won from Vidisha Lok Sabha constituency by a whopping 8.2 lakh votes this time.
सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप
One of the new faces is the former Chief Minister of Haryana, Manohar Khattar. He took oath as the Union Minister in the Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led National Democratic Alliance at the centre. Manohar Khattar was fielded from the Karnal constituency, where he won by a margin of 2.3 lakh votes.
और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक
BJP Chief JP Nadda has returned as the minister in the cabinet of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The BJP fought the 2024 polls under Nadda's leadership, who has been the party's 11th president since 2022.
भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा मैं संघ के मंत्री के रूप में
Another noticeable addition to the cabinet is H.D. Kumaraswamy, a two-time Chief Minister and five-time MLA from the JDS. Former Chief Minister of Karnataka won the Mandya Lok Sabha seat and reclaimed JDS lost stronghold in Lok Sabha polls.
Allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, that I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge my duties as a minister.
Lok Jan Shakti Party leader Chirag Paswan took oath as the member of the cabinet elected from Bihar's Hajipur Lok Sabha seat. Chirag Paswan secured a resounding victory with 6.14 lakh votes. Chirag Paswan's decision to contest from Hajipur was deeply symbolic, as the seat was represented 8 times by his late father Ram Vilas Paswan.
अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा तथा मैं भय या पक्षपात अनुराग या द्वेष के बिना सभी प्रकार के लोगों के
Other fresh faces included the actor turned politician Suresh Gopi, Kamlesh Paswan, who was elected for the 4th time from UP's Bansgaon parliamentary seat, Raksha Khadse, who is daughter-in-law of former BJP leader Eknath Khadse.
ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India
भारत की प्रभुता और अखंड
Moving on now, following a gruesome terror attack on a bus carrying pilgrims in the Riyasi district of India's Jammu and Kashmir, Home Minister Amit Shah strongly condemned the ambush and has assured swift action.
Taking to the social media site X, the Home Minister expressed deep anguish over the incident, warning that the culprits behind this attack would be brought to justice.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also took stock of the situation, condemning the attack as an extremely reprehensible act. The Defence Minister wrote, I'm quoting here, "My heart goes out to the family of those who have lost their loved ones."
J&K Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha confirmed that Prime Minister Modi had been debriefed on the tragic situation and had asked the LG to keep constant vigilance on the situation.
President of India Draupadi Murmu also condemned the ambush with strong words, calling it a dastardly attack and a crime against humanity.
Police sources have confirmed that the initial reports suggest that it was a terror attack. The sources state that the terrorists ambushed a bus carrying Hindu pilgrims. This resulted in the driver losing control and the bus tumbling in the ravine. At least 9 people aboard the bus were killed and over 33 injured. The bus was on its way from Shivkhori to Katra, carrying over 55 pilgrims. Following the attacks, security has now been beefed up at Riyasi.
An army helicopter has been brought in to conduct a search operation as well.
इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है कि एक बहुत ही अनफॉर्चुनेट इंसिडेंट हुआ है और ये इनिशियली जो हमें रिपोर्ट्स आई वो यही है कि मिलिटेंट्स घात लगाए बैठे थे और उन्होंने उस बस के ऊपर फायर किया जो कि शिवखोड़ी से निकली थी और टुवर्ड्स कटरा जा रही थी। उसकी वजह से जो ड्राइवर है उसका बैलेंस जो है वो बिगड़ा और वो नीचे बस जो है वो खाई में चली गई।
Moving on, there's just no end to the trash balloon versus propaganda leaflets between North and South Korea.
Absolutely, Rahisha. The two countries call it a tit-for-tat offensive, in fact. And the latest retort comes from the North. Kim Jong-un's influential sister has warned of a fresh round of trash balloons to be released if the South keeps up its loudspeaker broadcasts and continues to scatter propaganda leaflets.
South Korea announced on Sunday that it would restart broadcasts through massive speakers placed near the border, and this is besides sending out its balloons filled with leaflets against the North Korean regime. The balloons also carry USB sticks with popular South Korean songs and dramas that Pyongyang is extremely sensitive to. These speaker broadcasts go back to the early 2000s and were revived in 2015.
North Korea's offensive in this dirty war over the last couple of weeks. North Korea has sent close to 1,000 balloons to the south. They contain trash, soil, pieces of paper, plastic, manure, and even human and animal feces. The south has called it a military issue. People have been asked to report such balloons and stay away from them.
Now, this dimension of North-South hate has led to suspension of a 2018 tension easing agreement. This actually allows propaganda campaigns to blow up further and more dangerously. A possible restart of live fire military exercises in border areas, to name some.
All right, let's now take a look at all of the developments from the world of technology, starting with NetChoice. That's an internet trade group that represents companies such as Meta and Craigslist, is suing the American state of Georgia. Why? NetChoice wants to block a Georgia law that requires online classified sites to gather data on high-volume sellers who advertise online and accept payments in cash and offline payments. The group argues that the Georgia law, scheduled to take effect from the 1st of July onwards, violates the First Amendment rights of sellers, buyers in online services and is unconstitutionally vague. Meanwhile, the supporters believe that the soon-to-be enacted law will discourage the resale of stolen goods and will help further crack down on organized thieves who steal goods from offline stores and then sell them online.
Elon Musk took to social media to express his appreciation for Indian-origin robotics engineer Ashok Eloswamy. Eloswamy was the first person hired for Tesla's autopilot team. But in a post on X, Musk said, and I'm quoting him here, "Without him and our awesome team, we would just be another car company looking for an autonomy supplier that does not exist."
At the time of recording, Musk's post has received over 17 million views on X, formerly known as Twitter. Musk's tweet was a response to Eloswamy's note on X. In the post, Eloswamy praised Musk's bold vision and perseverance. He even shared insights into his early days at Tesla.
Artificial intelligence has taken the world by storm. AI tools can help write essays, decode complex topics, and even compose songs. It can do a lot of other things. And now, AI technology is being used to help find key factors behind a car crash. You heard that right. A team of US-based researchers are using tools like Google Street View to assess key environmental elements that might lead to road accidents. Google Street View offers users a 360-degree view of streets. The Google tool allows experts to create a virtual map which helps them further examine road features like streetlights or greenery. Researchers found that sidewalks play a major role in reducing crashes. Areas with more sidewalks experience 70% fewer car accidents.